Cheat Code. Hey everyone, welcome to Pickleball Cheat Code, the show for competitive pickleball players who want to level up their game. We focus on advanced strategies for experienced players, stuff only the pros really know. I'm Brodie Smith. I'm a 5.5 plus level player and a coach. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Tanner Tomasi.
What's up, everyone?
Tanner is a 6.0 plus rated player and an APP gold medalist. Today, we're covering the proper order of operations to develop your game the right way, not the wrong way, in order to improve and level up your game. At the end of today's episode, we will be debating what we think is the most overrated shot in pickleball, so stick around for that. And if we've done anything to improve your game, share the show with your pickleball community. All right, let's go. Tanner, let's start things off. So, knowing the proper building blocks to level up your game the right way, as you know, is paramount, right? As a coach, and you've done a lot of coaching too, and you developed your game way too fast, to be honest. I don't know how you developed your game so quickly, but I'm sure you've seen this all the time. I see this all the time. I see people working on the wrong things at the wrong time. I'll see a 3-0 player trying to do a Ben Johns backhand flick below the net. And I'm like, what are we doing here? You know, we gotta be working in a chronological order. Like for example, Steph Curry, basketball. He is such an insane shooter, not just because he works on a shot. Like he is such a good shooter. I think I made this analogy before because he has the fundamentals of amazing handles and being able to drive the lane and get past people, right? He's able to create shots because of that. And I always create basketball analogies because that's my sport growing up. But I think that resonates with a lot of people too. So, Tanner, what was one key element of your game that you properly developed and really worked on when you were around a 3.0, 3.5 player when you were starting off? Like, what was one of the things that was your main focus to make sure you were starting off the right way?
I think the most important thing that I know I focused on was just thinking straight ahead and being able to do that accurately. I know a ton of people can't do it. Like you want to be able to think straight ahead, like know to hit the ball, like to the left, to the right, try to move them around, get the ball low. Do I take it out of the air? Do I not? If you just go outside, line up straight ahead and think straight ahead, your brain and IQ will just develop on how do you take balls out of the air, how to handle aggressive dinks, how to reduce the pressure. And a lot of people, like, they just don't do it. And it just baffles me, you know?
So starting off straight ahead, I mean, so let's break it down. Let's go through each level here of starting from 3.0, working our way all the way to 5.0 plus of the kind of the core focuses that you should have at each level, what you should be probably avoiding, and then keep going from there. So let's start 3.0, right? So we established what you just said. Straight across dinking, so valuable. I think you hit the nail on the head there because it's so simplistic where you don't have to, I mean, cross courts can get a little bit more nuanced with a little bit more intense footwork in terms of getting your foot behind the ball. It is more difficult to hit a consistent cross court dink than it is to go straight ahead. So I think starting there is huge. And then just focusing on proper form, like we've always talked about, you know, that 3.0 level, we got to focus on consistency above all else, of course, making sure we're just making balls into the kitchen. In terms of proper form, and feel free to add to this, I think it's as simple as keeping that simplistic paddle face flat out in front of you. Everything should be out in front of you. I don't want anybody taking the paddle behind their waist, of course, and staying very, very compact. Some other things to focus on too, proper serve and return, getting good depth on that. Like you said, dinking basics and then footwork. I think that's kind of the key at that 3.0 level. Is that fair to say?
I would say so.
Okay, so let's say we established a lot of that. You know, we have that good depth. We're really focused on that consistency. And as we go up the levels too, I think it's really key to note that if you're a 3.5 player, you should be working on everything still and sharpening everything from that 3.0 level. And keep working on everything behind you. You always need to be working on the fundamentals and the basics, no matter how good you are. And Tanner can attest to that better than anyone too. All right. You're past the 3.0. You're now a 3.5 player. Like, what should your main focuses be now that we've established being able to dink straight ahead, serve return, some of those consistent parts of the game?
I think it's difficult to separate it out, like by 3.0, by 3.5, by 3.5, or 4.0, 4.5. I think really, like, I'd be curious to see where people end up if they spend 10 minutes a day just dinking straight ahead, 10 minutes a day just dinking cross court, 10 minutes a day just hitting third shot drops, 10 minutes a day doing 7-11. One person's back, you're trying to keep them back. 10 minutes a day just doing resets. It's kind of hard to know. Like, you should just be hitting all of the basic shots, dinks, drops, resets, until you feel comfortable. Like, if there's any doubt or you feel awkward or discomfort, you're never going to get better. You need to have all the basic shots down. You know,
I mean, that is, you hit the nail on the head. So, I mean, that's a fact. No matter what level we're working on, it's not that you should be working necessarily on different shots. It's more so of like a benchmark of where your game should be and what your focuses should be a little bit more. Like, how do you know that you're a 3-5? By what you can do, right? So if you're able to hit certain shots and certain drops, that's how you know you're at that level and what you should be expecting and being able to work on to get to that 4 level. Because I couldn't agree more with what you just said. You have to be hitting those simple shots. It's like when you go drill and go work, like if me and you were just going to go to the courts right now, we're hitting drops, we're hitting mid courts, we're hitting cross courts, and we're just grinding those out. And that should be the same thing from a 3-0 to a 6-0. You should be working on big picture, the same stuff. So I mean, that's spot on. But just in terms of a sake of simplicity of just like being able to map where you're at mentally and kind of some of those things is kind of what I was getting at. So let's say like 3-5 level, where should you be in your game? Like, what should you be able to have to continue to develop? Like, for example, like, should you be able to hit perfect thirds at a 3-5 level? I don't know.
Right. I see what you're saying. I think, let's say, I think at a 3-5 level, like, you should understand. I think the levels also have a lot to do with like understanding what shots to hit when. At the 3-5 level, you should understand, like, okay, hit a third shot drop. What I would be working on specifically is I would just be getting like more comfortable, like we said, with all the basic shots. I wouldn't be trying to do, I think, like, up until like, I don't know, I guess up until at least 4-5 or 5-0, like, I don't know if I went out for a month, any player of any skill level, I think if you dedicated, let's say this was your job, whatever you're getting paid to do it, say you had 3 hours a day and you did 7 days a week, whatever, for a month, I think it would be unreasonable to say that you're not at least a 4-5 after a month, no matter your background, whatever, if you spend the time just doing the basics. I think as a 3.5, I don't really know. I'm trying to think where you should be at. I mean, you should be able to hit like maybe 3 drops in a row. You should be able to cross court dink maybe like 5 times in a row. You know, you should be able to keep a hands battle going back and forth of volleys for like 6 or 7 shots. So I guess that's how you can kind of benchmark it, is like how much of each thing, you know what I mean? Going up the levels.
I think that's a smart way to look at it. It's like, what's your drop percentage is like a top pro is going to be, they should be aiming for 97% on their third shot drops in terms of not being in the net or a total pop up. Whereas a 3-5, maybe we're looking at 64%, right? Something around that range, I think is fair to say, perhaps. But I think at that 3-5 level, one of the focuses should be above all is developing good margins. And I talk about this a lot, where so many people don't know the proper ball height. And this is even for 4-5 players as well, and 5-0 players sometimes, for your drops specifically. So if we're working on that transition zone game, that's one of the key things to lean in on when you're at that 3-5 trying to break 4-0. Because so many people, a lot of our listeners are, really trying to break 4-0. So one thing to work on too is having those consistent margins, right? So proper ball height, transitioning. Don't be afraid to hit it high. We're not aiming to the moon, of course, and we're not going 2 inches over the net, but really leaning into that proper transitioning of getting that ball to really dip down like you're going to dip it in a bucket that's going to land in the kitchen is so key at that level. Cool. Let's talk 4-0 and transitioning above 4-0 in some areas to look at this level. I think one of the key things is once we're above 4-0, we can ignore having our brains be only worried about consistency. And now we can start applying pressure once you're at that level, right? So what are some key things that a 4-0 player should be looking to do and be having at that level in order to apply pressure and be a little bit more consistent there?
I think at the 4.0 level, you should be able to take dinks out of the air and do something with them to set up the next shot. I think you should be able to probably start attacking balls out of the air. Maybe not off the bounce just yet. You should have like good game recognition when the opponents are back. You want to keep them back. You don't want to like allow them to come in. You should realize you need to apply pressure. I'd say that's it. Just the recognition, I think,
Yeah,
is probably a
I think
4.0, you know?
exactly. Yeah. And then getting closer to that 4.5 to 5.0 plus level, or not 5.0 plus, but between 4.5 and breaking past that. I think it's about the intelligence of the game is something that I was thinking about going into this episode in regards to being able to have some of the mental control of a match, pattern recognition, and some of that deception. I don't see any of that at the 4.0 level, but when I see 4.5 plus players, that's when I start to see that is players that can have they're just smarter on the court in terms of pickleball IQ. They're able to read body language a little bit more. They're able to flash one way and pop another way. Like they're kind of thinking one step ahead a little bit more. That's something I see there. So how is that? Let's say you are 4.0 and you're trying to break it into 4.5 plus. What are some things to work on to add that element to your game?
I think maybe if you're 4.0 trying to become 4.5, obviously like the basic skills that we said, trying to add in that element.
Always.
I think watching video, of better players playing, that's the best. That's how I develop my IQ pickleball. Just watching matches. Why do they do decisions on certain balls? It might be a little bit more.
Are you watching like specific YouTube videos, or are you watching like a PPA gold medal match? Like,
No,
what are you
just like
watching
PPA. Just watch top PPA players.
And you're not mindlessly watching it.
Plays.
You're watching Ben and you're asking yourself questions like, what are you asking yourself to really dissect that, to take from it? Because some people are taking way more when they watch a match, and some people are just eating popcorn and they're on their phone. You know what I mean? So like, what are you doing when you watch these matches?
I think like in pickleball, there's not too many scenarios, so I'm just like looking what Ben Johns does on each scenario. Like, okay, he's coming onto his partner's side and taking the middle dink. Is he staying in the middle? Where does he hit the ball? Is he staying in the middle? Does he go back on his side? Is he aggressive? Is he soft? Is he leaning in? Is he trying to use deception? Is he just like, one thing I noticed from watching like Ben Johns play is he's never trying to use like tomfoolery or trickery. Like everything's just super solid and consistent. So in my game, why would I not try to replicate that? Is he speeding a lot up off the bounce? No, so just stuff like that. When he hits his third shot, is his body composed? Is he jumping? Why am I jumping? I should stop jumping, like stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's smart. Some people learn way quicker, and it's because of that mindset of being like hungry, in terms of like thinking about your game and wanting to get better. Is like you watch every little detail. And Ben said this in an interview recently too. He goes something along the lines of, this is going to be not a direct quote, but every part of my game has come from somebody else, and he's so smart to be able to do that. Yeah. And I thought that was so interesting that, somebody that's that good, he would have never stayed that top dog unless he did that. Like he was obviously, he had a smaller pool of play early on, obviously being the most dominant and best player. But then you have a million more players coming to the scene, and he's able to stay above everybody else because he's smarter, because he's, constantly watching and seeing what other players do. He watches James Ignatowicz hits that backhand roll that nobody else is doing. He's like, okay, I'm going to add that to my game, and constantly layering on. So I think that's a important thing to note as well. Cool. So yeah, I think that's the intelligent piece between that, breaking towards 5.0. But then when we get above 5.0, you obviously have the consistency. You're able to be a smart player. You can hit strong drives, drops. You can kind of do it all, so to speak. You're steady, and then you can apply as much pressure as you want in theory. But when we get to that 5.0 plus, working towards, it's pretty gray range, towards 5.5 plus, 6.0, so to speak. I think things get very situational in terms of what you're drilling, what you're working on top of all the basics that we already talked about. But I think it's important to drill situational stuff. Are you ever doing that yourself? I've been doing that more. And it's been really helpful. For example, I'll be sitting mid-court on the left side, and I'm working on a backhand reset roll cross court to the right. So very detail-oriented shots that I notice myself not hitting very efficiently in a match. I want to go back to the drawing board and work on sharpening those smaller niche shots, because I already have the basic ones down pretty well that I need to work on that. So I think getting niche with your game is kind of what I'm getting at here.
Yeah, I think that's a smart way to look at it. Now you can start. Which level did you say?
5.0 plus is kind of what I'm talking here, and even 5.5 plus. I know it's kind of we'll kind of bucket it the same in this general area.
So 5.0 plus, you want to You want to have everything there, that you can't be exploited.
Yeah.
You want to not be able to be exploited. Your opponent shouldn't see a weakness in you. So like a great drill that I started doing that is phenomenal. It's very difficult is you're in the midcourt hitting resets. Your opponent's just practicing making their fourth. But now when they hit the ball, you're trying to either reset it or like rip it. So you're trying to attack from the midcourt. So it's very difficult because you're trying to very quickly make a decision. Do I flip forehand? Do I flip backhand? Do I even attack it? Do I reset it? Is it high enough? So there's like 7 things you have to go through your head in like less than a split second if it's attackable. And that really helps with quick decision making. Besides that, at the 5-0 plus level, I think at this level, if you're not thinking 2 steps ahead or 2 shots ahead, you're not going to be able to compete. Like a good example, I think I used this on a episode we had prior. Like today I was playing and like I saw Richard, my partner, was dinking cross court, rolling the ball with the 2 hands. As soon as he rolled one out wide, he rolled the next one to the guy he was dinking with inside foot. So it's like in the middle of the court. And I recognized that. And immediately I knew that when Richard hits that ball to the middle, that the opponent most likely is going to change direction down the line to me. So as soon as I see Richard do that, I jump and for the Ernie, and the guy hit it perfectly. I did perfect Ernie. Another thing is if I'm cross court dinking with somebody, I put the ball in their corner and I know that like they're in trouble. Like I hit a good shot. I'm stepping over, leaning into the kitchen, trying to get that next ball out of the air. So like when I hit the shot, I'm thinking, I'm not just like reacting. I'm being more proactive.
Love it. Smart. No, I think the 2 steps ahead thing is like, you can really feel that clearly. Like when I'm playing a 6-0 plus player, I can just feel that they're 1 step ahead of me and they're just smarter. It's just the way it is. Interesting. But another question I had too is like any niche shots that you're working on above that 5-0 level once you got past there, like, some rolls, some like ATPs, Ernies, like, is there anything else that are more niche shots that you want to dial in?
Sorry, I should have said it before. I guess like, the niche shot that I was thinking when I said the other example was like being in the midcourt, trying to react, like with that drill of like, do I attack? Do I reset? That quick decision making. Yeah. Besides that, I mean, like I'm trying to take the balls out of the air more aggressively when I take them out of the air with the forehand.
Yep.
I'm working on combos. I speed up off the bounce with 2 hands and I'm preparing for that next ball. I'm practicing a niche shot that I practice all the time. Well, I used to, now I kind of have it. It's like the lob off the backhand, the dink. I make it look like a dink, but then I lob it off the backhand with 2 hands. So I think like that'd be a niche shot. The lob, I wouldn't say like a 4-0, a 4-5, or even a 5-0. Exactly. Really shouldn't be dialing in the lob. So I'd say the lob.
For sure. Yeah. I've been working on the tomahawk flick on my left side. I didn't have it a year ago. It's feeling so good now, Tanner. I can't wait to show you. Tomahawk, it's like a backhand flick, but I got some more reach on it. It's been nice. Now I'm able to, go down the line, body or cross court as much as I'd like with it, or relatively. And, it's been fun. So yeah, working on niche stuff like that. Otherwise it's kind of a waste of time. Like, I wasn't developing that over a year ago. It would have been a waste of time for me. We got to make sure that as players progress, you're working on stuff that's important. Over a year ago, it'd be smarter for me, which it was, to work on just taking a more consistent backhand out of the air dink and trying to push it out wide or control it middle and making sure I have that controlled shot versus doing a flick that would be such low percentage at that point of the game for my development. So I think this all comes down to, like you said, that's the most important thing is at every level, it's all about reps. We talk about this all the time. We're building muscle memory as much as we can at every single level for every shot that we do. So really focusing early on to just do that. A lot of consistency, mid-court, really grinding out mid-court and being patient. Learning every part of your game, it takes time. So it's really easy to get impatient. So my advice for everybody is just be as patient as possible as you're trying to break 4-0, as you're trying to break 5-0, whatever it might be. Sometimes you're going to have a really flatline growth where you're not feeling like you're getting any better at all. But Tanner and I can both attest to this. Sometimes things just click. Like you can be hitting these same reps over and over. And after 3 months, you might feel like your game hasn't improved at all. But I guarantee you, like Tanner, what he said earlier, the number of hours that you're putting into these shots, you are guaranteed to level up. It'll come at a more compounding rate at later on. Perhaps it may not be a consistent growth pattern that you're following. But yeah, I just feel like that was worth mentioning. So really focusing on that consistency at every level, being mindful of your footwork. Those are two just super key things, but always being worried about that and working on the basics all the time is so key.
Love
it. Fun question for you, Tanner. What's one skill that every player thinks they have, but almost nobody actually does, especially below like the 4.0, 5.0 level maybe?
Ooh. Probably just like good aggressive dinking. They probably think they're doing it good, but they're probably just hitting like dead dinks.
I was thinking the exact same thing, a good aggressive dink.
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many layers to that and levels to a proper aggressive dink versus like what an aggressive dink that you think a 4.0 might hit versus what I've seen a 6.0 hit is night and day in terms of the angles, the pressure, and being able to mix up an aggressive dink that's high arcing and kicking, and then one that's flat and mixing that up during a match. I think that's well said. I was thinking the same thing. And then let's wrap things up. I wanted to debate this with you. And I know we're going to have different answers because we've talked about this barely before. What is the most overrated shot in pickleball in your mind that you think is just not necessary for maybe developing your game, or it's just kind of a dumb shot?
You go first. I want to hear what you said.
Okay. You're going to hate this one, but for me, it's backhand drive. I've seen where I've brought my game without ever hitting a backhand drive. I just rely on my forehand. I can run around and drive if I need to. And if I have a backhand that comes at me and I want to drive it, like obviously return a serve, it's not like a drive. I'm just returning it deep because I don't have to worry about it being perfect. But I never backhand drive, and I feel like I just don't need to. You know, I'm just hitting a soft transition shot if it comes to my backhand, and I'm just working in.
I like it. I would probably say a two-handed topspin dink maybe is a bit overrated. Like everybody wants it.
Wait, we've had so many conversations about how important this is. Now you're saying it's overrated?
I feel like every shot's important. I mean, if I had to say something, I would say just that, for the sense of you can get away from that because you'll always be leaning in and like you won't let balls bounce. You could take more balls out of the air if that's like not even a thought. If it's like, okay, I'm not going to hit any two-handed topspin dinks, I'm only going to lean in and take every ball out of the air. Or if they do, like I can kind of just chip it back and then get back to looking for balls out of the air. I definitely think it's a good tool to add. I don't think it's super necessary below a 5.5 level. Like you could easily win every level of tournament without that shot. You know, I think it might get people into more trouble, especially when I see like 4.0s hitting it. Like their form's a little wonky. They're not hitting aggressive dinks when they do it. They're just like hitting dead dinks with two hands. And like they're looking to hit it because they see the pros do it. Where if they were just leaning in and looking to kind of poke balls out of the air, it'd be better.
True. That's a good point. I mean, for context, I'm 5'8" currently, and I'm just starting to actually implement that in my game. I mean, I've been working on it for a while now, but in terms of going to a match and feeling comfortable in a tournament setting and hitting it like every ball, like I'm not even there yet. And I think that goes to show that you're kind of accurate with that point. It's definitely overhyped. People think it's like a must-have, but I think, like you said, you don't need it until you're higher level. That's better to focus on working in and taking balls out of the air and shrinking the kitchen. Right. Smart. All right. I like that. That's good advice. All right. I think you win that battle. I think I'll give you the win there in terms of, I think that is more overrated. You caught me off guard at first, but I like it.
And you told me you're like, that's a terrible idea.
I thought so at first, then you had really good points because it's going to make it so you just stand off the line and then you're not applying any pressure. Okay. But yeah, it needs to be a tool that's intelligently used. You can't just go black and white with it.
Right.
You're a smart man, Tanner. You're a very smart man. All right.
I love it.
You look great today, by the way.
Thanks.
Okay, bye, Tanner.
I guess. Thanks. Bye.
See you.